Hi everyone, Lazy Fire here. Welcome to the Hate the Player podcast. I'm back as usual with Three Toes.
Yeah.
And, we've had a lot of fun in the last few weeks, and unfortunately, it has to end because Ahnuld is back.
I'm
Back for episode
I'm
50.
back on a computer from 2006. Six.
Wow, Arnold, just the Freudian slips just continue.
Woohoo! Wow, we made it 10 seconds in without me talking about sex.
Yeah, that was good. That was a record for us.
I'm pretty happy with that.
But Three Toes did just point this out, episode 50.
Oh, shit.
Yay.
Oh, shit.
Well, yeah, I'm just back for the 50th.
Yeah, it's a reunion show.
Yeah. We're going to bring out everyone who guest started on this thing ever.
Oh, God.
As long as we can get Drekkens back.
As long as we can get Drekkens back. So, Arnold, I know this is a video game podcast, and you have only played one game in the last, 4 months.
Yeah.
But you revisited Last of Us.
Yeah. Oh, God. I mean, if for some godforsaken reason, like not having a PS3 and, being a master race, I've never had a PlayStation, speaking of. But my friend does, and one of my good friends and I had binge played it over 2 nights. And by over 2 nights, I mean we started one day and stayed up for 15 hours, and we played through the whole thing. Yeah, it's that good. It's really, really fucking good. The story is. I knew what was going to happen, and I still had tears. There were tears because there are things in that game, and you're like, feels, and yeah, fan fucking tastic. Probably the best story I've seen in a game. I'd really have to think of a story I like more than The Last of Us.
Better
Because
than
the
Red Dead?
characters are just so fucking human. They're human, like you understand their motivation. You get who they are. Basic premise is you play the main character you play as is a guy named Joel, and at the beginning of the game, something bad happens to him, and during the initial zombie outbreak, it's not zombies, it's actually a fungus that takes over your mind, all that bullshit. Cordyceps, the fungus that makes ants go on leaves, and they just kind of chill out there till they die. Except it makes
They get
humans
picked up by birds.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. And so it starts to affect humans, and they basically turn into your 28 day later type zombies. You get bit, you turn within 2 days, all that. So the premise of the story is it's 20 years after that bad thing happens. You're like I said, Joel, and you get hired. You and your partner, the lady named Tess, you get hired to take this girl across the country, to where this group of rebels. Oh, everything's ran by the military now. The only places that still have civilization are these quarantine zones that are in certain cities. And throughout the game, you visit a few of them, and you see what happened to some of them. But it's basically martial law. Military runs everything. Well, there's a little rebellion group called Fireflies, and that's where our smuggler friend Joel comes in, and they get hired to do this bullshit. So you do that, and it's a story. What you're smuggling is this 14-year-old girl voiced by I think what's her name, Ellen Page?
No, she looks a lot like Ellen Page, and so Ellen Page actually had to do interviews around the time that game came out to promote her, the game she actually did do voice and motion capture for, called Beyond Two Souls. So there's a lot of confusion, but in the Last of Us movie that they're making, they're going to have the woman who plays Arya, or the girl who plays Arya, as that character. So if you want an idea of what that character type is and age, if you have not played The Last of Us in the year of our Lord 2015 or seen a video of it.
But
Arnold's new to it, so there might be new people.
So it starts out and you're just it's a story of trying to get across the country with this girl, and like basically they treat each other like shit at first. Like Joel and treats her like basically cargo, and she gives it right back. I mean, she's a like bunch of swearing and fucks and fuck you, and shit like that, but not over the top. I mean, the game, I just can't say enough good things about it.
Right.
Like, it's perfectly paced. Um, the combat's great. It's a Gears of War type. You don't stick to cover like that, but you know you can generally go through things with stealth. Even with the zombie types, there are 3 different zombie types and maybe 3 different human enemy types. But really, the combat isn't what the game's about. It's really just a story, and the combat is great. I mean, it's polished, it's good. I mean, it's better than passable. It's really good. The weapons feel right. You have your handgun, revolver, sawed-off shotgun, which you have a pistol and a rifle slot, and you can upgrade to have 2 at the same time. Otherwise, all the guns go in your hammer space backpack.
Yes.
But hunting rifle, you get a flamethrower later on. You can make Molotovs, and there are some enemies that can't see, and you throw the Molotov, they run into Molotov. It adds a little strategy to the game. Combat's great, story's fantastic, and it's just the right length. I went through, that's what she said. I went through, and it took. Now I was taking my time trying to be stealthy and all that. It took me, I think, 15 hours.
Oh wow! So it's like 3 The Order 1886s stacked on top of each other.
Yeah. The thing is, there were at least 2 points in the game where I thought it was done. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's dead. Game, like, it's done.
Wasn't there an expansion as well, or am I?
There was. I actually haven't played that. It's $15, but I mean, the game's so good, I might end up getting it.
I think it's a prequel of some nature.
It is. It is. It's about Ellie, the girl, and how she ends up becoming the cargo.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. I mean, I know the game's over a year old now, but I mean,
the remake's a year old.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It came out in 2013, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. I never played it, so I wouldn't really know. But I did watch Geop's LP of the game, and why do I play with things when okay? But I watched that. He knew a lot about the game, and watching him clobber a thing with a brick never really got old.
Yeah. The animations. The animations
they're brutal.
are top fucking notch.
Yeah.
Like, the girl's crouched behind a wall, and you come up behind her, like she kind of like huddles into you. It's just a nice little touch that just goes to really reinforce just the humanity of the characters. Like you really, if you can play the game and not give a shit about the characters, then honestly you're just a fucking autist and I hate you.
I think you want to say sociopath, but sure, you can do that too.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I think it's a pretty good trend in games where they want you to care about the characters beyond the idea of like, here's a character I like, here's a character I don't like. They want you to understand they're human characters, and they have their character flaws and everything, but they try to make the best of it.
And one of the twists with the game is well, I'm not going to say it, but your character, not a nice guy, not a good guy. Like he's a real piece of shit. But you understand why he's a piece of shit. And you're like, oh, okay, all right.
So now, are you excited for any other games that are coming out, Arnold? If you ever fix your fucking PC?
Well, no, because I haven't really done anything except for The Last of Us and House of Cards.
You still have hours and hours of Binding of Isaac to play. And I gave you that copy of Nuclear Throne.
Oh shit, you did.
I did. You have to accept it, or I can give it to somebody else. But the only other person I was going to give it to already has it, and I can't give it to Three Toes because it doesn't come out on Mac. So,
Yeah, no, like I said, I'll probably end up. All I have to do to fix my PC is replace al.dll.
yeah, so you have to reinstall
I have to,
Windows.
yeah. So reinstall Windows. That's it.
I almost did that last weekend, and I was like, I don't want to fucking do this because there's something going on with uTorrent has a Bitcoin miner that was attached to it. It turns out, and they didn't bother to mention this to anyone until recently, and so my CPU started getting, or my graphics card started getting these weird cycle issues. And when I read what it was, I was like, well, of course that's what it is. This stupid thing is taking up too many cycles from my graphics card. It's causing it to have problems. So I had to completely uninstall uTorrent.
Wow,
Wow, that was a dumb
that's
admission.
shitty. I'll have to take it off of mine too. I have no idea.
I don't know how long it's been there. I haven't used, because I mean it's just too easy to get like games and everything for cheap now. That torrenting something and getting it to work and all that bullshit isn't really worth my time.
Yeah.
So I haven't really had to use uTorrent or any other torrent client for a couple years. Like, it's on my computer because it was on my last computer, but I don't know if that kept me immune from anything. So
Yeah, I haven't updated uTorrent forever. I generally only, I mean, with Spotify, I get whatever music I want. And with Steam, I get whatever games I want. So really, the only thing I use it for are movies that I don't really care about. So, well, I mean, if it's a movie I want to see, then I'll go fucking see it. But,
yeah,
like,
and there's
like Star Wars
there's-
Episode 7 at the end of this year.
yeah, that comes out in December. You have to get your computer.
It can't be bad. It can't be bad. It can't be bad.
Won't
Do you
this
know
be
what's gonna
like the
happen if it's
first-
bad? Do you know what's going to happen?
What's
That shit's going to happen.
Okay. Riots in the street,
Isn't this
No.
the first one that's going to be released in the winter and not in the summer?
probably.
I
think
thought because
so.
I thought every other Star Wars has been released during May.
If you want to compete with the fucking Marvel movies, then yeah, sure, release in the summer. Let's see how that goes for you.
Dude, it's Star Wars.
Okay. Now, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, a Marvel movie based on a second-tier fucking property, made $1 billion and was the second highest-grossing Marvel movie of last year.
Yeah, but nothing
coming
else
after
came out that year.
Right, but I'm just saying, after Captain America, it was like the second largest grossing movie, or whatever it was, in the summer. And American Sniper is now like the top grossing movie of 2014. Because all the kids who like to fucking sit in corners in Battlefield and just aim down sights, they finally have a movie for them. But
I'm not going to get into the politics of what an American Sniper being the highest-grossing film of a year says about us as a country.
well, I mean, the director did talk at a chair for like 8 minutes once, so you know he's crazy or senile. But the point is, like, you don't really want to go up against a Marvel movie at this point in the summer because you're just asking for problems, and you've seen it in the last few years with like, what was that Tom Cruise movie that went up? Oblivion.
Day After Tomorrow? Or no, not Day After
Oblivion.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, but
And All You
Edge-
Need Is Kill, or whatever
Edge,
it was.
Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah.
Edge of Tomorrow, that too.
That movie was great.
For the last 2 years, those two, like Tom Cruise, the Keanu Reeves movie, John Wick, actually that came out later, so it's not a really good comparison. Well, like, they come out in the same time frame and they get fucking trounced by these Marvel movies. And
yeah, but none of those movies have the same like pedigree that fucking Star Wars has.
what pedigree does Star Wars have anymore? What pedigree?
Dude.
They fucking had 3 shitty movies that just came out a decade
They said
ago.
the same thing about each time one of the shitty movies came
There-
out, and people
there have
still
only
want
been
ape
two-
shit over them.
There have only been 3 Star Wars movies, so it's going to be good.
Yeah, there were 3 Star Wars movies 30 years ago.
Arnold refuses to acknowledge.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, and they're following. This is following the good ones. Harrison Ford's in it. Mark Hamill's in it with a fucking like Jedi Master beard, and he looks like fucking Obi-Wan. I'm just rubbing my nipples right
Arnold, honestly, the best part about this Star Wars movie is that it basically erased the entire extended universe.
now. I was
Disney-
a crippling. I was a crippling. I mean, I guess I still am kind of a socially crippled nerd, but I was really socially crippled, and I read a bunch of them, and I liked a bunch of them, except for the ones written by like Karen Travis, where the Jedi are basically Nazis.
Ah, yeah.
They definitely took some shit in weird directions, but I would have been happy if they did the Thrawn trilogy, because
Yeah, Arnold, we can barely hear you right now.
that's because that was my nerd shame covering up my voice.
Oh, okay. I just wanted you to be pretty clear about why you're such a nerd.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Three Toes, have you actually been playing anything? Get back into Red Dead?
I've actually, because it's the 50th episode, I decided to play a game.
Whoa.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. On a computer, no less. On a
What?
PC. On a
Wait.
fucking C.
On purpose?
All right, it's ski free. It's definitely ski free.
I walked into Big Best Buy, and then I played a round of
Albatross 18.
of Faceball. Yeah.
3D golf.
No. So I fired up my old ass PC from like 2008,
Okay.
and because I'd been watching a Let's Play of a game I really want to play, so I gave it a try. I've been playing The Escapists, and I've really been enjoying it. It's really fun. It's 8-bit kind of, huh?
The Escapist? Isn't that a website?
The Escapists, like plural.
Oh, okay.
It's the sequel to The Escapist.
Oh.
No, but it's got kind of the style of like an NES RPG. Think Earthbound, but set in a prison. So you
acquired Shank.
Earthbound, but good.
Kind of, yeah. You acquire Shanks. You start out in a minimum security prison, and it's kind of a balancing act where you have to balance your day-to-day required prison schedule of, going to breakfast, having free period, you start out with like a laundry job and you have to meet like a job quota every day. At that time, you have exercise period, you have shower time, you have other meals, you have roll call. It's balancing all of that with trying to escape from prison, and you do that by doing favors for other, not sexual favors, but favors for other inmates. Like they might want
DLC.
They might want you to beat somebody up. They might want you to find an item for them. You have to go like ransack other people's cells and try and find items, all while trying not to get the attention of the guards and get too much heat on you. It's been really fun. There's crafting elements, because obviously you're not just going to find a fucking shovel in prison. You have to find pieces of wood. You have to find a way, if you work in the metal shop, you have to find a way to sneak metal out of the metal shop, because there's like contraband detectors and will bring instant 100% heat on you and get you shot from the guard tower if you try and do shit like that. It's just really fun, buying stuff off inmates and trying to find a way to escape. I've yet to be able to escape from the first level, because it's so, like, you have to think of every possibility to try and cover your ass. Like I managed to get a screwdriver and climb on top of my desk and undo the air vent and climb up into the air ducts and kind of snoop around. Well, that left me out of my bed during lights out time, so guards went by and saw an empty bed and saw that the air vent was open, so I got busted and thrown in solitary, and they took all my shit away. So you have to make a bed dummy. You have to create a fake air vent cover to replace the one you removed. You can take a plastic fork and chisel into your prison wall and make a hole in the wall to stash stuff, but then you have to cover it with a poster. And you can make a flimsy shovel out of some sheet metal, a stick, and some duct tape. But then you can make a sturdier shovel by combining that with more crap. And like I'm on like day 34, and I've yet to be able to escape of the easy level.
Wow.
And then you unlock like more secure prisons to where I guess maybe the schedules are stricter, because right now on the easy level, like say it's exercise period, I just show up to exercise period. If I walk out of the door, they're really not going to care too much, but they at least want to see you show up there to start with. without bringing heat on you. So I'm guessing on the harder levels, like you have less free time, I guess, and less leeway in terms of being able to sneak around and try and do all this stuff. But it's really, really fun. It's like $15 on Steam right now. It's still early access, but it's pretty
God damn it.
pretty polished. No, I know. I know. But it's really, really polished for what it is. Really, really fun. I suggest looking into it. There's a couple of Let's Plays going on right now, but it's so low in its requirements that my PC from 2008 can run it just fine. So
yeah, hey, that's always a good thing to have.
Yeah.
I think there's, and a lot of the 8-bit style or pixel art style indie games that have come out in the last few years have kind of shown that you don't need to be this insane graphical powerhouse to not only be fun, but to be different, new. I mean, it helps in a lot of ways to not have to worry about your insane, like, I need to make this the prettiest game ever kind of moment.
Right.
You can actually do something.
The game that I wasted a bit of time with that fit that bill was Papers, Please.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally a border guard, or like the guy who takes passports at like some 1980s Eastern Soviet or Western Soviet
Checkpoint
satellite
Charlie.
country.
Yeah.
And that looks like it isn't even NES graphics. We're talking
It's like
DOS,
ANSI art.
Yeah. And it was fun. It's fun, and it really shows that, like you said, you really don't have to be like Unreal Engine 8 to do anything, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's been a really good trend. I kind of wish that it would spread out a little bit more, and you'd have some of the bigger studios maybe trying to understand that consistently pushing the graphics updates to ridiculous levels is not the best thing in the world for the current generation machines or the last generation machines.
Video card industrial content.
Yeah, well, I mean, graphical cards in PCs last longer than ever now, simply because consoles are so far behind on almost everything that updating your graphics card will do very little for you in the long run.
Didn't NVIDIA have issues with the like the 970s or something?
The 970s claim to have 4 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM in them, but it's actually 3.5 with a 0.5 gig cache that is on the card as well, that only gets accessed if you've overstepped your 3.5 gigs. So you'd basically have to really try to do that. I've never had an issue, and I have a 970 because I don't really pay attention to things. I actually bought this like first gen.
I remember you got it because Battlefield 4 said it needed 3 gigs to be ultra.
Yeah, I started off with 1 GPU, and I bought cheap, and I was like, I don't really like this thing very much, and then I found one, and I sold my old one, plus the 3 games that came free with the graphics card. I sold all that, and I actually ended up making money on my graphics card purchase, so I felt like I could just get a new one whenever I wanted to because of how amazingly cheap it was. Because fucking video game hardware, man, is like, it's getting cheaper because people are no longer buying GPUs to mine bitcoins, because it's, 1, not profitable anymore to do it with GPUs, and 2, the Bitcoin market has crashed. Like,
Yay!
Like the high point was almost $1,000 a coin. Last time I saw it, and I was just like looking for some Schadenfreude, $252 per coin. So people have lost their houses because they took out a second mortgage to buy bitcoins, and then no one wanted them. So it's like, I think the highest it's been in the last 8 months has been like $300 some odd. So, bitcoins are going away because it'll no longer be profitable to mine them or spend money on mining them. And all the scams have kind of just run their course. So
I feel like if you had a botnet, that would really be the best way to mine bitcoins.
Yeah, that's why fucking uTorrent had that Bitcoin miner in its programming.
Probably made them a ton of fucking money. Hey.
Well, they claimed that it was all going to charity, but honestly...
Right.
Yeah. Hey guys, we help you pirate stuff. we're gonna give money to charity.
I mean,
we're gonna give fucking United Way a bunch of bitcoins and see
fair,
how they handle their
fair,
shit.
anybody that's used uTorrent, you were stealing shit. So I mean, come on.
What's it if they take a few of your CPU cycles?
Right.
Or,
fucking speaking of that, I heard it's probably a shit that didn't happen. .txt, but apparently at what was PAX East.
and it just started.
Yeah, like apparently somebody came up to the guys who did Shovel Knight and gave them $20 and apologized for pirating their game.
From what I've heard, that's actually pretty common with a lot of indie games.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of indie game studios that don't have the largest, well, the Shovel Knight was a Kickstarter game, first and foremost, but, anyways, a lot of those studios, people pirate, this is what happens, people pirate games, because they don't know if they're going to like them, and then if they like the game, they will go back and buy it, like, go to Steam and legit own a copy, and sometimes people from the internet get really weird and want to see their story appear on the internet, and so go up to developers and tell them they're sorry for pirating games and try to do something for them, or will email them that sort of thing, because they need the attention. Just fucking buy the game. Don't tell the guy you did this thing where you pirated it. Be a normal goddamn human being. But no, some people need to see validation for their past errors or whatever the hell they want to call it. So I think that's a lot more likely story than you'd think.
Yeah, I guess so.
I've seen a couple where people will apologize to devs in Reddit AMAs, saying that I pirated your game, but it was so great. I wanted to just do something, and the developer will be like, just why don't you just buy the game? It's $15. If you do not have $15 lying around, you may have a problem with your finances. But yeah, what was it? Hotline Miami 2. The guys who are making that, because it got banned in Australia.
What?
There's an Australian. Yeah, they got banned in Australia because of the fake rape scene.
Oh, what? What? There's a rape scene?
Well, it's in the game. It's made to look like someone's getting raped, but it turns out that it's a porno shoot. Because that's how porn in the 80s worked. And so there's that scene, and that got them basically banned in Australia. In addition to that, there's the heavy, the high levels of every other type of violence besides sexual violence as well. And the developers of Hotline Miami 2 just told this guy in Australia who was concerned he'd never get to play the game to simply pirate it. They didn't care. So, a lot of these guys at these smaller studios, all they want to do is just make a game. They are not worried at the end of the day about raking in as much money as possible to please shareholders. Because, they don't have them.
Yeah, because when it comes down to it, they're going to make plenty of money.
Yeah.
Hotline Miami is going to sell. It was a good game.
And I think that's the big thing, is that people really want to give these guys, and we're going to get into this, I'm sure, with The Escapists and these other games that are coming out, and Nuclear Throne by Vlambeer, and the other game I was playing a lot of in the last couple weeks, Road Redemption. Here are some interesting, innovative products that no one's really, and by innovative I mean Road Redemption is straight up 3D Road Rash, but here are some different products that you're not really seeing on the market. People are doing something interesting and neat with concepts and art and ideas, and they're putting them out there. You want to give these guys money because they're not, making Call of Duty 26. They're going out, they're putting a new product into the market that people will want to go play. And there's going to be an audience for that, no matter what your product is, no matter how bad it is sometimes even. So I really hope that people continue to support these smaller studios. I think that's 60% of my Steam library is just random dudes who decided they wanted to make a game.
Yeah.
At this point,
I've actually got a friend on Facebook who's making a game. I don't know if it's going to be good, but called Temple Beyond. Obviously, it's just a little 8-bit type thing, but it looked like it might actually.
Yeah. we'll see where everything goes. Everything looks 8-bit, and that drives me nuts. But
I don't mind because I think graphics got really good with the Super Nintendo, and then when we transitioned to the N64, the PlayStation era, graphics turned to shit. Because God, I mean, I challenge.
They were trying to do. The issue was they were trying to go and do like 3D environments on something that really was not capable of doing 3D quite yet,
right?
And not doing it well.
Right. I challenge you to go back and play Final Fantasy VII.
No one wants to do that, Arnold. Everyone knows that game is not very good, and that basically people just jizz all over it because it's Final Fantasy VII at this point. That I will posit using fancy words even that Final Fantasy VII is probably a bad game, and if you went back and played it today, you would think, "What the fuck was 1997 thinking?"
So I might actually do that.
It's a bad game.
I might make
it's a Final Fantasy
maybe
game.
That could be my Let's Play.
That was the only one I ever played.
It was bad.
But
I swear to you, it is not a good game. Like, you go back and play it now, I'm sure people will tell you that it's a good game simply because they can tell you it's a good game. I mean, people were demanding a fucking remake of that game for a decade, and the reason Square didn't do it was because they knew the second they did it, everyone would go, "What the fuck was I thinking?" So,
well, that and it's just a bunch of fucking anime nerds jerking out or Sephiroth.
Yeah. Right? That guy has not...
Fucking Japanese. Why are Japanese people so fucking weird? Oh, wow, that was a little racist. I apologize.
Yeah, that's racist.
I don't know. That wasn't so much a racial thing as much as it, these video games are really fucking weird type thing.
Yeah, they are. So, now that we've taken our weekly time to bash Final Fantasy, which I think every podcast should be forced to do, gaming or not. You know, that'd be great if someone could just point out Final Fantasy is not a very good game series that has just kind of been running off of its own fucking fumes for decades.
Call of Duty.
These really shitty games that people just keep buying and playing no matter how bad they actually are.
Over a decade of Call of Duty.
Yeah, Call of Duty has not been good in a while. The fact that it's like losing market share is kind of great in my mind. It sells every year; it's like the biggest game, but it's slowly slowing down, which is kind of fantastic to see. Because you're just like, yeah, good. Everyone's picked up on something I knew 5 years ago. This is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played a lot of. I played more Road Redemption, even though I've played through the campaign like 3 times now. Because the fucking Rainbow Road level at the very end of the game is just such a fucking weird moment in my life that I have to see it over and over again. And it's a goddamn unforgiving map too, because it's random, and it puts you on these like 180-degree curves, and your bike is just not really able to handle it, and then it will speed you up to max speed possible. And even if you hold the brake and slow down as much as you can, you will still just straight on go through the gate that you that is or the guide rail that's at the edge of the road. So you just go like right through it. The game doesn't even care. So I had to like figure out ways to avoid getting sped up that much and all this other shit. It was crazy. But I've been playing that. I played Besieged. I am like I played very few games this week comparatively. I played Counter-Strike again this week.
Yeah.
Because
So that was 2005, 1999, whatever.
However many times Counter-Strike's been re-released.
Yeah.
I actually jumped into a game and pissed off somebody really badly because I was using a Bison and was just dominating his team. I was like 8-3 or something like that to start off, and then I went like 10-3, and then I slowly went downhill to the point where it was 18-8 at the end. And I was like really upset, but people were angry at me. It was great. That was like the one time I've been good enough at Counter-Strike to make people angry at me in my life.
It's actually a pretty satisfying feeling.
It is. When they're in chat and they're just like, you never see anyone in chat, and then you just see chat explode because you killed the last guy. And
has anyone called you a Smurf yet?
No, I have not seen that. Is that like somebody's sock puppet account or something?
Yeah, for competitive.
Oh. No, I wasn't that good. Later on, for whatever reason, Shadowplay didn't want to work, and I was recording like every fucking round if it was when it was working. But when I reset my computer, got back in because Shadowplay was being weird. I went in and I immediately got fucking trounced again, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm bad at this game. The best was I had somebody who was like always using the AWP, and they're just yelling at me in chat, why are you using an SMG at distance? That's right, I chose to fight the guy with the sniper rifle from a mile away. I had that choice when he started firing on me. You're right. You know, like some people are just like in this mindset that you clearly chose to be where exactly you were at all times, and clearly the reason they were dead was because they wanted to be dead.
Yep.
Fucking some people, man. But yeah, besides that stuff, I haven't really played a lot of games this week. I mentioned this right before we started, but they announced it's hard to describe what it is. It is clearly not a DLC for the New Order, but it's also not a standalone full game. It's like a digital downloadable two-chapter game called Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, and it takes place before the events that open up Wolfenstein: The New Order. You have to go into Death's Head's castle, you have to go to the castle Wolfenstein itself and get the coordinates to Death's Head's compound. And then there's another chapter where you're trying to stop somebody from resurrecting Nazi zombies or something like that. Like German Aryan zombies, I think it was, or something. So it's like a little 2-chapter game. It's going to come out on May 15th of this year, of all years. So within a year, I think the Wolfenstein franchise is going to have... So in a year, Wolfenstein is going to have more games released under its title than it did in the last decade.
Nice.
Because from 2001 to 2009, there was Wolfenstein, Return to Castle Wolfenstein, and then there was simply Wolfenstein, which was the sequel to that game. And then it took until 2014 to release Wolfenstein: The New Order, and then 2015 Wolfenstein: The New Blood. So what the fuck?
So, wasn't Return to Castle Wolfenstein and Wolfenstein, weren't they good?
Return to Castle Wolfenstein and Wolfenstein are pretty different games. Return to Castle Wolfenstein is considered really good. It was published by Grey Matter or published by ID, or Activision with ID involved, but it was developed by a company called Grey Matter Interactive, and it was considered really, really solid and really good. And then Wolfenstein, straight up Wolfenstein, as they called it, was the 2009 game. It was developed by Raven and published by Activision, and it's considered a good enough game, but not really that good kind of thing. And for whatever reason, the guys who made The New Order decided that it would be a totally good idea to simply follow on the footsteps of 2009's Wolfenstein. So it reintroduced characters and situations from the previous game into that game, despite the fact that no one really had a reason to have played it or seen it before. But it worked. It worked really well.
I was saying before the podcast, I ended up, instead of doing homework, getting drunk and watching your LP. It seems like a really solid game.
It is. It's surprisingly satisfying too. Like when you go ahead and dual wield fucking semi-auto shotguns or something like that, and just tear apart a bunch of Nazis and robot dogs and shit. That's always pretty fun. But the way everything works and the way everything comes together, it's a really solid game. The New Order is, and I appreciate the fact that in the year of our Lord 2014, a major games franchise had a release that wasn't bugged and broken as shit. So that's always a good one too.
That's definitely true. Holy shit.
I'm always going to point to Halo Master Chief Collection as like the prime example of
which is incredible because Battlefield 4 was a thing.
Yeah, Battlefield 4 was bad, and actually they just released another patch that made it not work in some areas again. Like I got when I went to go jihad somebody last night, I threw a Jeep at him and it watched it hit the guy and just stick there, and I pulled the trigger, and then the C4 exploded but did 0 damage to him whatsoever. And he just hit me with a canister shell and I was dead. So yeah, Battlefield 4 got broken again in some ways, so they're trying to fix it with a hot fix or something this week. But yeah, it launched and it was solid and it worked and it didn't need like 50 post-game patches to get to a good point. It didn't have a fucking premium DLC bullshit attached to it. It looked nice, it played nice. There were a few complaints about it. It was just like, how is this a major studio? You know, it was published by Bethesda. How is this a major studio release in 2014? That didn't happen for any major studio release in 2014. Like, the Assassin's Creed Unity, they're still patching it to make it work correctly. And that came out in like October.
I've heard nothing but bad stuff about that one.
Yeah, Halo Master Chief Collection, that one's a special case because it was technically 5 studios working on 4 games. Because
recipe for success.
Yeah, apparently 343 said that they couldn't really work on everything, so Microsoft contracted out every one of the games to other studios to make it look nice. And meet the time constraint they gave to it, and that's why the netcode's a complete fucking buggy mess, because they didn't write like one unified netcode. They wrote all this different netcode that doesn't make it work right.
So does it have all of the Halos on it, or?
It has the Halo games the Master Chief was in, so Halo 1 and 2, 3 and 4. That's it. No Halo Reach, no Halo ODST.
Reach wasn't bad. Reach was the last one I played that I thought, oh, okay, this is an alright game.
ODST was a different game.
Yeah.
Like, you did not play as a Spartan.
No, it was definitely a different game. It wasn't bad, but I feel like Halo 4. I played all the campaigns, and I honestly I enjoy the story. It's a little over the top, but you know it's nice to have a game that doesn't take itself super seriously. Well, actually, yeah, it kind of does, but I don't take it seriously, so that makes it enjoyable for me.
Someone doesn't take it seriously
right.
somewhere.
So, and Halo 4, I liked. The multiplayer was garbage, but I hate bullet sponge games anymore. I just can't play it. It's just not fun to me.
Right.
It's all about that headshot, bro.
Yeah, so you're going to come back and play
taking
Counter-Strike.
to the chest and going down. How about that?
So, that was a mess and everything. So, it was just nice to have a Wolfenstein game come out and work at launch. Like, that's just an amazing thing these days. And we'll see how that works with Battlefield Hardline in a week and a half. Because the beta they put out was a little buggy in spots and didn't work correctly in some areas, so we'll see if they fix some of that stuff, but they're making some adjustments to it, and I get a feel. I said I will buy Hardline once they fix the launch issues.
Some of our mutual friends have been trying to convince me to get it, and I told them that they're a piece of shit, because I already convinced myself it was going to be garbage.
How about this? I will play it, and I will tell you if it's worth getting.
There you go.
It'll be a couple months before I tell you that, because I want it to work out some of the launch issues, if not all of them.
I don't know. Doing midnight launches with your friends is always kind of fun, though. You know?
Yeah, but why? There is no good reason. There is zero good reason at this point, unless you get some incredible deal, or you get something that you absolutely need to fucking have, to pre-order anything anymore.
That's
to go
true.
to a midnight launch.
That's
to do
true.
any of that.
Because 2 months later, you'll be able to get it for like $30 off or whatever.
No, fuck that. You can get it $30 off day 2, like, if you really want to. If you want to go and find all the deals and sites like Green Man Gaming that they'll have, like, oh, hey, they were sending me a thing the other day, 17% off Hardline if I pre-ordered it.
Yeah, my friend actually got that.
And I was like, you know what, it was tempting, but I'm like, no, I'm going to stick to the course here. I don't think pre-ordering anything is actually a good thing to do right now. Early access games I'll make excuses on, I'm sure, because I've already bought Besieged early access, and that's actually a pretty good game. But if not minimalistic at this point. But like, if you go out and EA or Activision or Ubisoft are trying to get you to pre-order their like biggest franchise or their newest game or whatever it is, don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not worth anyone's time for you to spend that money 3 months before that game comes out.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
I actually pre-ordered Homefront,
oh, no.
but reviews came out before, and I canceled that pre-order real quick.
Yeah. Well, it's the stuff like you can't do it. You just can't do that sort of thing and expect, like, when the game comes out and it's shitty and they don't support it after launch, you are actually part of the problem because they were just trying to get their money before they had to release that shit to the public. Like, you gave them the confidence that they could release a subpar product because no one would. They already had your money.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've just
You're preaching the choir. I think three cars passed out drunk.
Good plan. It's probably the way to go.
Yep.
But yeah, the fact that they're going to make a downloadable couple of chapters for Wolfenstein, I think it's prequel stuff. So I think that's going to be really neat. They've got new weapons. They've got different weapons in it. And they're one of the main things in the game is that they're going to give you a pipe that has a like a wedge end, and just the pipe end. So like you'll use it to turn a Nazi around by his arm and then stab him in the throat with the wedge.
Oh.
Or you'll use it to climb like things and all this other stuff. It's pretty great. It's a little utility tool.
Huh.
So it looks really cool.
Oh,
It looks. Yeah, they don't have the laser craft work like they did in Wolfenstein: The New Order because they can't. But they can give you a pipe. And like, I'm all for bizarre and highly useful weapons in first-person shooters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm good with that. But that's. Yeah, I was trying to think. I had one more thing. Oh yeah. All the engines are coming out for free now.
What?
Unreal 4 free. Source 2 free. Unity whatever free. Like basically every game engine that anyone's used in the last few years to build a game, the follow-up engine is going to be coming out and just be on the market for free.
Huh.
You can go grab it and just download it and develop for it without having to pay for a license.
But how are they making money then?
That's not the concern. Like, I think that's the interesting thing. Like, companies like, the Unreal company that I think is just, what is it, Epic Games now?
Yeah.
Epic Games. Like, I think their thing is that, they're going to put a game out, or they're going to put something out for that, with that engine, but it's not going to be, like, come here and pay me to have a copy of this engine that you can sell. It's just going to be like they're trying to win a market share for a subscription or something like that. I don't know. It's interesting. Gabe Newell actually did an interview today with somebody or at GDC where he basically explained that PC gaming has been growing year over year about by 50% to the point where now it's larger than the consoles combined or something like that, which I don't actually buy, by the way. But
I think it will be with Steam. I mean, Steam just beats the pan. That's the number one reason. Like my buddy's been playing a lot of GTA 5, which I actually sat and I watched it for a fucking hour, just because the shit in that game is fucking amazing. But I mean, I still can't justify getting a console because Steam, holy fucking shit. Yeah.
And I think that was a big part of his argument was that, like, with the right incentives, people will just see the point of, like, a home console as kind of something of the past. But the whole point is that, like, by going out and putting your engine in other people's games, they're not making money per se per each game that's sold. I don't think there's a royalty fee on that or anything like that. But the idea is that you want to be able to advance, so you can have smaller studios like the ones we were talking about earlier, publishing games and putting out games without having to go through using like fucking Game Maker, like Hotline Miami was on, or other stuff. They can have a full set of they can have a full set of tools and a code base to work from that's not insane. So, I think that's a really good idea. It's just go out there, let these companies have the best engine you have. They can customize it, they can change things, they can move stuff around. I think the big part of the next Unreal Tournament game they said was going to be that, because they are making one, is that they really expect the maps and the weapons and everything in the game modes to come from people taking the code and changing it and making these new modes and maps and weapons. I think that's an interesting way of approaching a game. Is just like,
you mean a fun way? Like that's how fucking Counter-Strike used to be. I fucking loved that.
Okay.
Granted, there are a bunch of really shit maps, but
right. And the thing about Counter-Strike itself was a mod.
Yeah.
But and so was Insurgency and a lot of other games that are still pretty popular. But the thing is, today I feel like most of the people who would design a map for a game that's supposed to be like a AAA Call of Duty or whatever, it's going to have a bunch of long sight lines that have one side that has like a really good sniping position and the other side has to run, with no cover or something like that. It's just going to be a lot of fucking
map.cs.
Yeah, like I'm going to get all the kills .cs or something like that. That's all it. I feel like you give the power to the player at this point. The player is going to make the most uninteresting, boring, one-sided map they can and just try to rack up kills. So it's an interesting way to approach it today because I don't trust the average player to make a good map.
No, not at all.
I don't know if I completely agree with you on that. I think your average player, will make a shit map, but I think that you'll see, like, some of my favorite maps, like in any game that has user-created content, were always made by the people who played it, Like, God damn it. Like, I mean, just look at the fucking Counter-Strike map. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little drunk, so I can't really remember the names, but there are a lot of good ones. You have to take my word on it. Yeah. There were. I could be totally wrong, and it would be terrible.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see if anyone comes up with anything, or if it all works out. And let's hope. Let's just hope it works. We've kind of run over our time. We were just so happy that Ahnuld came back.
I'll give him a fuck.
We were talking to him for like 20 minutes or something like that before we started this to see how he was doing. Just make sure, that was actually him and not someone wearing a skin suit. We have a lot of weird concerns here.
Yeah, we do.
So episode 50, Hate the Player podcast, where Ahnuld talked about a 3-year-old game. Three Toast talked about a game that can be run on a 2008 laptop, and I bitched about the current state of games in general. So,
no, it's a desktop.
Okay. Sorry, my mistake.
Let's give credit where
I'm
credit's due.
actually on the laptop from 2006, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't really have anything more. Do you guys have anything else you want to say?
Roll Tide.
It's been a good 40 episodes. For me,
sure. Yeah, you did miss a few. All right, guys. Well, Roll Tide.
Roll.